Trust isn't built when you're offering to help someone. Trust is built when you're asking for help. And I think that's beautifully put, because I haven't thought about this before, but it's actually a lot more vulnerable to ask someone for help, to showing that you're weak, than it is to show that you can help and that you're strong. What is it that the richest people in the world already knows? How do you get 20 million people around the world to collaborate in one project? And what do you do when you get a message from one person in the team saying that he constantly gets anxiety attacks from working and he wants to quit? These are some of the questions that we'll be diving into in today's episode of the becominggreat.com podcast.
And if you're new here, the becominggreat.com podcast is for you who wants to make the world a better place, or just your own life too, for that matter, better, through entrepreneurship and through personal development. And I am here with, as always, my good friend Erik Bergman. Erik is the founder of Great.com, the company that we're building that will give away 100% of its profits to help the environment. And previously, he also made over 50 million euros when he founded his last company, Catena Media, that went from 0 to 300 employees in just 5 years. And he's also teaching business and personal development on his Instagram account that has over 150,000 followers. Erik, how are you doing today?
I'm good. And I'm here with my good friend Emil Ekvardt, as always, who was the first one joining me in Great.com. And he's also the host of this podcast, as well as our other charity podcast, where he interviews charity organizations. And on the side of Great.com, he runs a life coaching business, and he's my creative sparring partner. So in everything that I do when it comes to creating content, he is the one I bounce the ideas with when it comes to podcasts, Instagram, Twitter, and I just love learning things with him. So how are you today, good buddy?
Could you say we're creative ninjas? Cha-cha!
No, I cannot.
No.
Sparring partner. I'm not a ninja.
It's kind of similar, but ninjas are cooler.
Okay, you're my sparring ninja.
Sparring ninja, I love it. All right. And in this podcast, we do episodes about personal development. We do episodes about entrepreneurship. And we also do what we call real-life experience episodes, where we talk about things we learn when we implement the things we learn into real life when we're building the company Great.com. And this is an update episode from the last month. And this month has been quite intense indeed.
I just spent 30 minutes meditating on my bed, trying to get rid of all the anxiety that I'm feeling. Just opening my email inbox fills me with anxiety that won't disappear. I've searched within to understand the causes of this, and I've realized that I've had this feeling every day for weeks, maybe even months, and I think I want to quit. This is the beginning of a message that was sent from one of our team members in our public Slack channel this month. And what was it that happened?
Before I tell you guys what actually happened, I had a question that really is interesting to me, that just came up. And that is, because I'm just working in the business. You own the business. You're ultimately responsible for this. What is your emotional reaction, if you're going to be truthful, when a team member says something like that?
So my first instinct is kind of, Oh no. This is a problem I wasn't planning to deal with today. I think that's the first thing that comes to mind. Like, it's bothering needing to deal with it at the moment. And in the moment, it's a problem to be solved, and it's a heavy thing to deal with. I mean, it's never fun to find out that someone is not enjoying what they're doing when you thought they were enjoying what you were doing. It's like a friend bringing up something bad that you've done out of nowhere and you didn't know about it. And it's never fun when you got to know about it, but afterwards you're happy that they dared to tell you. So in the moment, it's really heavy, definitely.
All right, so to give some background on what happened here is that Spirit, our employee, is, together with me, a co-host of the charity podcast that we do, where we have as a goal to interview one shared organization every day. And if you haven't tried to set up a podcast before, I can tell you that arranging one interview with one shared organization every day is a huge pile of admin. Like, there's so much back and forth. And we've just started this project, and what we ended up experiencing is that we tried to move way too fast. We tried to create too many interviews at once. And now we had made all of these promises to different organizations. There was overflooded email inboxes, promises that we couldn't live up to. And both me and Spirit felt super overwhelmed and created a very strong negative association to this project and to Great.com. And this feeling of, I can't handle this anymore, I'm having so much anxiety now, is what Spirit brought up in our Slack channel.
Were you feeling the same thing?
Yeah. Yeah. We made an episode about this called Boring Tasks, I think, a month ago. So I had my nervous breakdown before Spirit. And then he had it maybe 3 weeks later.
So how did the team deal with this when Spirit sent this message?
I wish everyone that is interested in company culture could kind of be in this team meeting that happened. I think maybe you could. I think we publish all of the team meetings. Maybe it is out there on the internet somewhere. So everyone, because we had an agenda for that meeting, and we kind of set that aside.
So there was a weekly meeting.
Yeah, so we
that
have
was
a
supposed
weekly
to be
meeting
about something else.
It's probably about goal setting or something else business related. But this immediately seemed like a higher priority, and it felt like kind of the whole team gathered around Spirit and really gave him his attention and his support, and everybody started reaching out with, maybe I can do this to help you, I can do this to help you, we understand. Yeah, I felt an intense feeling of the group coming together to give support.
Yeah. And I think I read this quote the other day that trust isn't built when you're offering to help someone. Trust is built when you're asking for help. And I think that's beautifully put, because I haven't thought about this before, but it's actually a lot more vulnerable to ask someone for help, to showing that you're weak, than it is to show that you can help and that you're strong.
Yeah.
For me, looking back at this moment, it was amazing to see how beautiful the team dealt with it, how many people reached out and wanted to support him without me actually getting involved with it. But I can see it's even more beautiful what a role model he was.
Yeah.
Actually saying, guys, I can't handle this, I need your support, instead of what I believe would be a common way to kind of try to push through it, or maybe even quit without explaining it, or just not doing the things and kind of pretending to have done it. I think all of those ways would be common. I can see several times in my past where I've thought that people have done things, and then 3 months later it shows up, no, I actually didn't do it, but they didn't tell me. And here he manned up and he told me. And I think that was a beautiful proof of how safe this organization is becoming.
Right. To tie this into someone that might be running their own business or is interested in leadership and how to handle people working for them in general. Now, someone can't really handle their tasks. So I understand that safety is important, but wouldn't this kind of approach lose a lot of productivity? Now we spend a whole team meeting talking about Spirit's anxiety instead of talking about business. And also that you kind of lose as an owner, right? Because he says, I'm not going to be able to do as much as we agreed from the beginning.
Yes, I believe that short term, you lose a lot of speed. Like it's kind of like we're heading in this direction and we pull the brakes. But I believe it's like, imagine you're out running a car and you start hearing a very weird noise from the engine. Mm-hmm. Either you can continue going and hopefully the engine will hold up, or you pull over, you fix the engine, and you can continue going for much, much longer. Mm. And I believe that if there is safety, you will hear this noise. Someone will bring up, hey, my engine isn't working properly. It's better that you stop and fix it. And this car, as long as you keep fixing it whenever something happens, you can keep going forever. But if you don't hear that noise, if someone doesn't bring it up, then you're screwed. So short term, you need to stop the car. You're not continuing moving, and that's expensive. That's bad business short term. But long term, it makes you have a well-oiled machinery that can take you far, far longer. So long term, I believe it's an amazing decision. And I believe that by stopping the car, by respecting the noise, the entire team sees that, okay, if I actually raise my hand and ask for support, I'm going to get it. I'm not going to get punished. I'm not going to get humiliated. I'm actually going to get love and support. Meaning that it's a very crucial moment from a culture standpoint that someone does this and people come together around it and support it. And I believe looking back at this moment, even though it was a negative thing happened, quote unquote, it's probably the most important milestone of the organization so far. The moment I'm the proudest of that we have actually done, how the company supported him, that he managed to bring it up, that he did this, and everything that followed.
I agree, and I do believe to build that safety, it's so important to encourage and celebrate someone that has the bravery to do that. Because like you described in that quote that I love, what was the quote again? It's worth repeating.
Okay, so let's see if I remember it. You build more trust when you ask for help than when you offer to help. It wasn't exactly the quote, but I don't really remember the quote, but that's the gist of it.
Because it requires more bravery, because there's a bigger risk to expose yourself like that.
Yeah.
So then it also deserves to be encouraged and praised and celebrated.
Yeah.
And talked about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really, really brave.
Yeah. I also want to share what happened after you brought it up.
Okay, let's do that.
And I'll be quick, but so me and Spirit, because we needed to improve this project, make all the processes smoother and build guides and start to really think about a strategy. And Spirit didn't want to do anything of that. He just wanted to move slow, be in the business, send emails without being overwhelmed. And I didn't want to do any of that. I just wanted to do the strategy. And so since he brought that up, we completely changed the way we worked. And both people got much, much, much happier. And it wouldn't have happened if he didn't bring that up.
Yeah, so if he wouldn't have had an anxiety attack of all of this, ask for help, you wouldn't get to the point of changing everything, and actually to the benefit of both of you.
Yeah. And both me and Spirit, before bringing it up, had a negative association every time we worked with Great. And thanks to being able to bring that up, now we have a positive association.
Yeah.
And I mean, working over years, that's going to be the difference between someone becoming a bearer of culture in the company or someone quitting after a year from out of nowhere because they're fed up.
For sure. For sure.
Let's close this loop and move forward to how do you get 20 million people in 160 countries to collaborate in one single day? When I go in to the website of any charity organization, I see that something is missing. Because what I find is often a very well-written bio of the organization explaining the cause that they do. But there's something I can't see. I can't really see the people that are behind this organization. And I want to see those people. I want to see the passion that is building the project. Because the people that are behind these charity organizations, they are these enthusiastic forces of nature. And I can't see that on the website. And I want to see it. So we have just started a charity podcast. And something that makes me very proud is when we can show that fire. For example, I interviewed Heidi Solba from the organization The World Cleanup Day lately. And in the beginning of our interview, she was talking about their organization, what they do. They're organizing a worldwide cleanup day. And she's giving me numbers and their results. Like they managed to bring 20 million people together in 160 countries to clean. And of course, those numbers are very important. But something happened when I asked her the question, so Heidi, tell me, if I were to go to the World Cleanup Day, what is the experience like there? And now something completely shifted in her energy. She went from speaking from something that was a little bit more rehearsed to speaking from her heart about the experiences that she have had during these World Cleanup Days. She described what happens to people when they come together and they do something nice for nature and they see other people are doing the same thing. The connections that are being made, how people are making new friends. She talked about this as a very powerful experience for her. And that can never be seen on an organization's website.
Okay, so what you would have seen when you just visited the website was these numbers.
Right.
And you would have get a certain experience of this. So how did your experience about this organization shift when you saw her energy?
I got a whole other, that planted the idea that maybe I want to go to this World Cleanup Day to experience the people that are there and the energy. Like there's no way to really get that energy behind the organization from text.
Yeah, I can really see that. And so this charity podcast that we started was an idea that we didn't really know exactly how it was going to play out and why we were doing this. And when you told me this story, it was the first time I realized like this is the true value of this podcast, being able to show these people. And I think that the way you experienced that interview proves it. That your impression of this organization has already shifted.
Yeah.
You are drawn to this.
Yeah. And I really think we talked about showing praise and encouragement for people that do good things previous in this podcast. And I think the people in these organizations also deserves to be in the limelight like that. And when they get to speak from their heart, they become very proud of the work that they do. For example, I had another interview with a woman from an organization called CHAPS that are doing male circumcisions to prevent the spread of HIV in South Africa. And she was so proud of her interview that she added me on Instagram later. And the only thing on her bio is the link to the interview we made with her, which means that this is like the most proud she has been of her work. And I think I really want the people in these organizations to feel that proudness. And that to me is a huge proof of concept that the podcast we're doing has real value.
Yeah, I love that. So the intention, at first when we started doing this podcast, the intention, at least from my end, was from a business perspective. How can we get the name of Great out there, and how can we get links pointing towards us and become an authority one way or another? And at the same time, we wanted this to be valuable to others without really knowing how. And I think that just these two stories explains that very well, that we're really giving value. We're praising people, we're making them proud of their work. We're showing the listener that oh, so this is what this organization is about. They get to hear this. Oh, these are the people around it in a way that, I mean, you can never communicate a voice, a personality in text in the same way as you can when you get the voice. So yeah, I love when you put it as this is a proof of concept of this project, because it also feels like, to me, when we started this project, you and Spirit, who are the hosts, were both kind of excited, but wasn't really sure where this was going to take you. And the more interviews like this, and I can see just in your eyes when you talk about this, it's like they sparkle. It's like, I see this personality, I bring this up. She's so proud of this, she put it on her Instagram. And to me, yeah, that's just such a huge win that we've had this last month of experiencing this and seeing what it's worth.
It's fun to meet new people, right? And
Yeah.
when I meet new people in general, I want to talk about my eternal mission is to find what are you the most passionate about? And then I want you to talk about that. And this is exactly what's happening in these 20-minute interviews. They talk about the cause that they care maybe most about in the whole world. And it's super enjoyable to listen.
Yeah. So we've launched this podcast over the last couple of months, but this is probably the first month where we started seeing the real results of it.
Yeah.
We started seeing that it's valuable for the listener. We're starting to see that the hosts are really proud of it. And we're actually seeing that they are proudly publishing this. They're getting links to our websites. We're becoming a bit of an authority in this. So even though it's very early on with this project and we've had anxiety attacks and boredom and all kinds of struggles with it, it feels like we're taking it off as a big win from where we are.
A big win. And now we're also very close to hiring a podcast coordinator. And the reason that we are close is because we have found a secret that most rich people in the world are aware of. Something that the richest people in the world are very aware of is that the upside of a social network is endless. So what does this secret mean for you? Well, think about this. The next time you're scrolling in social media, randomly liking images, what if you were even more interactive and used social media as a way to build your network? For the first time in history, you have the possibility to reach people that previously have been way, way out of your network. So take advantage of that. And you, Erik, you've been very active in social media lately. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I've been very active in social media in periods for the last, 14 years, but I took a long break, and like the last year actively started interacting with social media. And it comes from this thing you mentioned, like the upside of a social network is more or less infinite. That if you know people, everything else gets easier. If you have a reputation, that's a good reputation, that is, everything gets easier. And like a year ago, I started to say like, okay, I want to understand social media. I want to get really, really good at it. And I've invested a lot of time in it because I believe it will benefit great and because I want to help out as many people as possible. And up until now, I've mainly felt that I'm adding value to others, which is a beautiful thing. But I haven't really seen the benefit for great yet. Like, how is it worth, Erik, investing hours and hours every day to creating Instagram content or to doing this podcast for the business? Or am I just wasting my business time that could have been used for the purpose of business? And now when we started hiring this podcast coordinator, was the first time I was like, okay, let's use my social network now. Let's use the followers on Instagram and LinkedIn and see if we can hire people. And I put the word out there and say, okay, we're looking to hire this person. And we got, I think, almost 100 applicants, out of which most of them came from either my social network or the networks of the people in my network. And we would have struggled to find this person otherwise. And now we still haven't hired them. Maybe we will when the time this airs, but right now we haven't. But we have 5, if not 10, really, really strong candidates. And it's all comes from me investing time in social media.
Yeah, and it's this role, and also some employees that we have right now have found you through your Instagram content, and they want to work with Great as an organization.
Yeah, actually, when I'm looking at the organization, most of the people in the team has found me through social media and then started interacting with me, and thanks to that, they're now working with it. And we haven't even been looking to hire people. Like, we just got a new SEO guy. His name is Alex, and he just reached out to me, I don't know, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, and started giving me ideas, starting discussing things. We started talking every now and then, and after a while, like, I want to start working for you for free for a while, just to see if it works. And he's a really experienced guy. He's not like some teenager who just wants a mentor, which is pretty common, but this is a heavyweight guy, like, can get a really high salary elsewhere. And he's like, I want to help out for free. And that all comes from social media. It comes from this podcast, like people hearing how we're talking, hearing what we're doing in these episodes. And I can only imagine how this will scale. Like, the time we have tens of thousands of listeners to this podcast, and times we have millions of followers in various channels, how easy it will be to find people who can help out, either as employees or just in business in general. And I've really felt that this latest months has been a proof of concept of that.
Right. So social media can be used as a way to become magnetic, both in your network and for recruitment, and just to create a reputation that makes people willing to collaborate with you.
Yeah, I think, so one thing that I think is very important when it comes to social media is what you said in the beginning, interactions. My guess is that 95% of all the use of social media is scrolling and looking at things. And even if you look at or like a million pictures on Instagram, pretty much no one is going to know that you were there. So you haven't really accomplished anything from a networking perspective. But if you're just commenting on Instagram or commenting on Twitter or commenting on YouTube, you're suddenly there. So I think that you don't need to be producing a lot of content yourself. You don't need to have an amazing YouTube account or an amazing Instagram page to start building a network from it. You get a lot of value from just commenting and then posting a little bit every now and then. But it's first when you start becoming a creator that you become a magnet. That's when people are attracted to you. And I can see how this started out in my early business days when I was on online forums, or like the two of you met on a poker forum in 2008.
Right.
The reason why I found you, the reason why we're here right now, is that you created content on a forum 14 years ago.
Yeah.
If you would have just read on that forum and I would have just read, we wouldn't have found each other.
Yeah. That is a very interesting thought to think.
Yeah, we're here because
I was just writing a diary. It wasn't anything advanced, but it was a platform where conversations could take place.
Yeah, and that's all it takes. And
become like a host.
Yeah, the thing is you become visible. And the beautiful thing with social media is that you can start interacting with anyone. And you can become an authority by interacting with anyone. So if you're on Twitter or you're on a forum like we did, if you start talking to the cool kids, you kind of become the cool kids. And everyone who is reading will see you talk with the cool kids and you become an authority. It's kind of like whoever is talking with the cool kids on the schoolyard is a cool kid. But on social media, it's easier to just become one because you can reach out without risking being bullied or like get your head thrown down a toilet or whatever. But here you can do that. So start interacting it's a much easier way of using social media than to become a creator. Creator is better, but it takes more time. But don't ever sit and just scroll. Don't ever sit and just like. Make sure to at least write to people, because that's how you start building something of value.
Beautiful. Do you have something more to wrap up this segment?
Oh, I'm going to double wrap it.
Okay.
So let's create a habit whenever you're on social media of commenting or writing messages to people. Because now we're going to move on and we're going to talk about a super powerful habit that you can have that's going to make your life a lot better. I believe that one of the best habits that you can have in your life is to be good at celebrating the wins of others. And this is something I've been really bad at in my life. I've been more filled with envy than anything else. But the last couple of years, I've really tried to become better. So whenever someone tells me positive news right now, I want to give them a stronger reaction than expected. Like, I want to be the one high-fiving them when they got a new job or whatever it is. I want to light up with my face and like get my eyes to sparkle and be genuinely happy for them. And the more I've practiced this, the more I actually feel that I get genuinely happy. And the more I can see in the eyes of the other person that they light up. They really enjoy telling me positive news and they feel better about their own accomplishments and the things around us. And I just think there is such a value about celebration. And to me, that was something that was proven on our weekly meeting the other day. Because we were talking about the goals that we had set during the first quarter and how we did with those. And how did we do with our goals?
To me, it depends on what you mean, because we have zero revenue still. I'm totally with you with the idea of celebrating. And my personality, or the way I want to be really good at celebrating. And I think there's always something to celebrate. So, and if there isn't, I haven't looked hard enough. So
that's a good one. If there isn't anything to celebrate, it means that you haven't looked hard enough.
There's always something. So me and my girlfriend ask each other before going to bed almost every night, what are you grateful for and what have I done well today? And there's always something, and it would always have gone unnoticed if I didn't do this exercise. And I think this is kind of what happened in our last team meeting.
Yeah, so basically we missed all of our goals that we had written down. We had zero revenues. We were supposed to have revenues. We were supposed to increase the traffic by XYZ. We didn't. We were supposed to do all kinds of things. And it became pretty depressing to just look at those numbers. And by the end of the meeting, the energy shifted thanks to the question that you asked. Like, yeah, but guys, what are we proud of this quarter? And I wasn't thinking about that at all. And then we just went around the table, like everyone talking about what they were proud of. And it turned out that this was actually a quarter of so many wins, probably the most important quarter that we've had. Huge
accomplishments.
Yeah.
Like the story with, just from the part of Great that I'm involved in, the story with Spirit and how that had built a certain level of safety in the team. All the progress we have made in the podcast, so we now are able to hire a podcast coordinator and have that whole system up and running. I think you and I have done a huge level up in this podcast now with the video production, with higher audio quality. Maybe you notice. Yeah, it feels like the quality of our work has been stepped up so much this quarter, and it just hasn't translated into the numbers yet. So it would be so unfair not to take the time to ask the question in the end of the day or the meeting, what are you proud of? What have you done right?
One thing I really like with that question, if we compare it to setting goals, is that setting goals you can do with measurable stuff. Like, what is it? And you can do it with things that you kind of can predict will happen. It's like how much money will come in, how many visitors will come in, like measurable stuff that you can predict. But looking back and asking what you can be proud of can cover things that, wow, the level of safety that we built in our organization.
Level of bravery from Spirit.
The level of bravery from someone in the team. I mean, you can never put, well, you can, but it would be hard to set a goal that we want to reach a level of bravery in our team next quarter.
Yeah.
How are you going to measure that?
And for me, with goal settings, I think those measurable goals are an important foundation. And at the same time, I think there are more things that you can notice that, at least for me, have an even higher impact on my level of excitement and passion and energy I want to put into this project.
Yeah. is remembering that the question, what are you proud of, can encompass so much more than goals can.
Yeah.
And asking that even in dark times, quote unquote, when you say that you've missed all your goals, because we have missed all of our goals.
Yeah, and times feels dark when you don't take time to notice what you have done well. Because even if you're going through a difficult time, when I say what am I proud of, you know, I was a really good friend to myself during this difficult time. I was brave here.
Yeah.
I did all of these things right, and then the times doesn't seem as dark anymore. They're only dark if you only measure results.
Yeah, so let's say that the results are a very dark night if you're missing all the goals. But then you ask yourself, what are you proud of? And that becomes like a beautiful firework in this dark sky instead. And it lights up everything so much more.
And it's fair, I think.
Yeah.
You deserve to hear it.
So make sure to celebrate.
So Erik, let's pretend and hope someone listens to this, they like what we do, maybe they want more people to hear our ideas on how to run businesses and think about entrepreneurship. What is a tiny thing they can do to help us out?
So one of the things that matters the most when you're a small podcast is the number of people subscribing to the podcast, the ratio between how many listens and how many subscribes. Because it's actually not the ones who have the most listeners that get into top lists. It's the ones who get the most visitors that click subscribe. So even if we're a teeny tiny podcast, if we have a lot of people subscribing on podcast apps or on YouTube, that helps us so much. So if you want to support us, please click any subscribe button. That means the world to us. And now we're going to leave you with one new little thing, which we call the tweet of the week. And it's from a guy named Shane Perel. And he says that sometimes success is 3% brains and 97% not getting distracted by the internet. Have a great week.